Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to be continuing our profile on the Limbus Company characters today, focusing on Outis, who's going to have multiple egos and is one of the few identities that does not have a 3-star form yet. Let's go ahead and dig in. So as always, we're going to go ahead and start out with the egos, and Outis has some pretty good egos. And the thing about Outis is you're going to have access to her primary as well as her secondary ego relatively fast, since it's early on in the battle pass. So let's talk about whether or not these are good or not. So the Pathos Mathos, which is going to be the primary ego ability that she does have, is 2 Sloth, 2 Pride. You probably use this quite a bit if you are using Outis. It's going to give plus 30% damage if the target's HP is below 50%, which is really good. It has a 0.78 growth, and it inflicts 4 Rupture, which is good. If the unit did not get hit at all during a turn, gain 1 damage up next turn. So overall, very powerful ability. It's not going to be game-changing, breaking, all of this, but it is going to be powerful. It is going to be an ability that is going to be able to deal some damage. Now, the Ebony Stem, which is one that you're going to be getting from the Battle Pass for free, by the way, and relatively early, is a HE ego. So there's not very many HE egos that are actually released right now. But the first thing we're going to look at is the cost, and the cost is ridiculous because it is an AoE attack. So it costs 2 Lust, 3 Gluttony, 1 Gloom, and 4 Pride. It's going to be a Pierce attack. It's going to have a growth of 0.68, and it's going to be AoE. So on hit, it's going to inflict 2 Rupture, 2 Bleed, and 2 Gluttony Fragility. Now, the question is, are you going to be able to build up your resources in order to use this so that this is actually viable? That's going to be one of the questions you have to ask yourself. There are a couple of other units who have other AoE egos that are focused on just pure damage. Faust is the one that I really think about, and I tend to find that may be a little bit better, a little bit more reliable, and this has such a high cost to it. You're likely going to be using another ego instead. If you do get the corrosion version of this activated, it's just basically more Rupture, more Bleed, and more Fragility, as well as the AoE is indiscriminate. The passive ability Stem of Distrust, at the start of the turn, gain 1 pierce damage up. On hit with a heads coin, inflict 1 bind and +1 Rupture count next turn. So overall, not terrible, but this is definitely, like, you can definitely tell why this is in the free battle pass. It's not going to be extremely powerful, especially when you're comparing it to Sinclair's ego that you get at level 12 of the battle pass, which just power level wise is so much better than this. Yes, I'm not going to pronounce this right. Sunyatta Tad Rupam is the 3rd ego that can only be gotten in the gacha. Now, this is a sanity cost of 15, costs 2 Lust, 2 Sloth, and 2 Pride. One thing to notice here, low skill power of only 19 and a growth of 0.6. After the attack, it's going to heal 18 SP. It's going to give 1 attack power up to 2 random other allies. And on hit, it's going to inflict 2 Lust Fragility. So this is a very interesting, almost like support ego, giving attack power up to other allies, giving, healing SP, inflicting Lust Fragility. So you're definitely going to want some synergy with maybe some other Lust characters if you are planning on using this. On the corrosion form, it is going to inflict Fragile and Fragile to Self if you do land Tails. And then the passive, at the start of the turn, gain 1 Lust damage up, and gain 1 more at less than 0 SP. So there could even be an argument that you want to be right along that line. You don't want to be too far up in your SP to try and benefit from this passive. Now, taking a look at Outis's identities, Outis is the only unit in the game without a 3rd tier rarity. Maybe there might be other units without a 3rd tier rarity. I think she is the only one though. But we do have the 1-star standard version, and then we actually have 2-star versions. So let's go ahead and go over the kit that we do have here. For the 1-star form, 0.78 growth, which is going to be very good here. One thing to notice is that the initial ability is 3-2-1. Usually this is like flipped or reversed. So the rupture ability is going to have 3 coins, which is a little weird. Backlash is going to be plus 20% damage if the user's speed is higher than the target's. Now the speed is going to be 3 to 7, which is going to be relatively high potentially. So there is a likelihood that your speed is going to be higher than the target's. Piercing thrust, plus 20% damage if the target's HP is above 50%. If you guys will recall, the E.G.O ability for primary kit is if the HP of the opponent is below 50%, she gets enhanced damage. So really some natural synergy here with the base E.G.O of her character. Passives and support abilities, not too interesting. Deal plus 10% if the target's SP is below 0. One ally with the highest HP deals plus 30% damage to enemies with less than 0 SP. You do need sloth times 4 and sloth times 3 in order to activate. You do have sloth in your kit here, but you know, when I'm looking at this, usually when your target's below 0 SP, you're already winning more. So it's just a win more passive and support skill to me. And again, around stats, speed range is going to be the only real important thing. Now, the Outis that most people recommend, and the Outis that I personally recommend, is going to be the GCorp Head Manager Outis. Now, you'll recognize this in this form as well as this form. Actually really high up there on the tier list. I believe it's A rank on the tier list right now. And she's relatively powerful. So you come in. One thing to notice here, you have 1 coin for all of their abilities. You do need to recognize though that there is more coin power on these, so you do get plus 16 coin power, plus 10 coin power, and plus 6 coin power, compared to say the first form where it's plus 2, plus 4, and plus 14. So you are getting a lot of coin power from this, but there is only the 1 coin. You also only have a growth of 0.6, and those are about the only negatives for this character. Primary ability, the sloth ability, is going to give 2 protection to the ally with the lowest speed. Onslaught command, keep in mind this is pierce and double blunt, so you do have blunt attacks here. Give 1 attack power up to the ally with the lowest speed. On a heads hit, gives 2 damage up to the ally with the lowest speed, so very good at buffing here. And then the final ability, focus, on hit is going to inflict 5 sinking. And then on hit is going to inflict 2 attack down as well. And the passive for only 2 sloth, which is so easy. It's so easy to activate. Next turn, give 2 haste to self and allies adjacent to this unit on the dashboard this turn. Very powerful. You know, that's potentially giving 2 haste to at least 3 units total, which is very good. Support skill, 1 ally with the highest HP randomly gives 1 attack power up, defense power up, or protection at the start of the combat phase. This is good too. It requires sloth 5. You probably won't be activating this until later in the fight, but the passive and the support, they're good. What's also interesting is the stats of Outis are really high. 151 HP, 4 to 8 speed is very fast, and 37 defense. You're just in a situation where, you know, GCorp Head Manager Outis is on par with a lot of 3-star units, particularly having the blunt ability is going to make them very good going into situations like the 3rd tier dungeon. Now, the second form that we do have is called Blade Lineage Cutthroat Outis. Most notably, it's the image of her cutting a man's head off. So this form I'm not as excited about. You do have 1, 2, 2 for coins, but you do have limited coin power, so plus 6, plus 4, plus 4. So you're not going to be leaning super hard into the coins here, and you're going to be very focused on poise. So primary ability, gain 4 poise, slash win, gain 1 poise, 2 heads hits, you gain 2 slash damage up. Final power plus 2 if the target's HP is below 25%. So again, winning more. And then on crit, raise first stagger threshold by 20% of damage dealt. It's interesting that this is on crit when there's literally units where it's literally like their attack just raises first stagger threshold by 20% of damage. So like these conditionals aren't really necessary, I feel like. And especially when you're comparing this Outis to the other Outis, there's literally it's literally just a hard downgrade. It reminds me of a lot of games where we tend to have like rare units and then rare plus units. The previous version of Outis feels like a rare plus unit, and this feels like a rare unit. And we had a similar situation with Sinclair as well, where one of the versions of Sinclair actually felt like a rare plus version compared to the other version. Level-headed 3 pride is going to deal pride resistant damage to enemies with less than 25% HP. Great. Again, though, gotta have less than 25% HP. Support ability, one ally with the highest SP deals plus 30% damage to enemies with less than 25% HP. Again, these conditionals are so ridiculous. You're never going to be able to get them to work almost. And then you come down to the speed range. Literally the speed of the last 2-star was 4 to 8. This is going to be 2 to 5. And then 37 defense compared to 32 defense, so less defense as well. The only thing we have is about plus 13 more HP than the other 2-star form, but really you're going to be going with GCorp Head Manager Outis all the way if you are planning on using her. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, I am trying to become a Limbus Company content creator, so please make sure to share my videos out. I'm always learning. If I've missed anything in this video, please post it in the comments down below, and I promise I will pin it if it is accurate. And as always, I will catch you guys later.